live from St. Thomas.
It's Tuesday night.
Wow, I love it. What a team. Can we do they earn union scale, or can we, pay them off with hamburgers?
Paying them. You know what? I'm going to double it. Triple.
Okay.
Triple.
I knew it worked out well.
2 hamburgers each.
All the hamburgers.
Hey, welcome, guys. Welcome. I'm not with you tonight. And geez, Grayden, where are you? Where are you downstairs? Is that where you are?
We're in a very special place, actually. This is
are you?
called
The Artifacts Room.
the Artifacts Room. That's right.
Oh,
In the
you
railway.
took the show on the road when I was away on the road. This is great. I like it. Right?
Yeah.
So this room is full of art or facts.
Both.
Okay.
It has everything. But there was a really special announcement that happened today. And Matt, can you tell us a little bit about what that was?
Yeah, we're here today to talk about the St. Thomas Elevated Park is joining up with the Railway Coalition, or Railworks Coalition. And it's been something that's been in the works for quite a while. And we think it's the next step for the Elevated Park to join with the Railworks Coalition to kind of continue the work we've been doing and to ensure the sustainability of it into the future. Now, the Elevated Park, I've been working on it for quite a few years since we bought the land and the bridge in 2013. We've had a dedicated group of volunteers working for many, many years on developing the Elevated Park and getting it to where it is right now. So some of our early volunteers and board members, and I'd particularly like to mention Serge Lavoie, who was instrumental in this. He brought the issue to council initially about acquiring the bridge. And some of the other early board members we had, like Ed Vandermeerle, the well-known heritage architect, and Joe O'Neill from London, a heritage activist there. And it has been just a huge community project over the years. All of the individual donors and corporate donors that have contributed greatly, like for example, people or companies like Doug Terry Homes and Gearlinks Home Hardware, really added a lot when we built the boardwalk. So contributed to that. And we've had many volunteers doing things such as looking after our gardens, planting native trees, and just making the Elevated Park a real attraction for the people, St. Thomas, and visitors. So it's been a huge community project for many, many years, and we think the next step of joining with the Railworks Coalition will bring kind of another level to it. It'll bring us together with the other railway heritage groups in town, and so we'll make sure we're working together on that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the original idea behind Railworks was to bring in all of the rail heritage and rail assets within the city under one kind of umbrella. So up until now, we've had obviously the Queso Station, Elgin County Railway Museum, the BX Tower. So it really made sense for that next step to bring on STEP, or the St. Thomas Elevated Park. So it's exciting for the boards, for the community, I feel, and for the city to bring that last step on and really have all of the rail assets under one kind of umbrella, under Railworks Coalition, and really continue to work to preserve and continue the heritage of rail in the city. It's exciting times.
And what kind of resources are you going to be able to join together with that?
Well, right now the Elevated Park is, strictly a volunteer-run organization. So, and it's our volunteer group has been shrinking, and so that by bringing together with the other organizations like the museum and the Queso Station, we hope to tap into a broader group of volunteers. And with the staff that's available at the Railworks Coalition, things like some management and other staff resources, event planning, and other things like that will by working together, we'll be able to accomplish those things together.
Yeah, I remember there were the the dinners that were out on the elevated park for a while as a fundraiser right before COVID. They were just phenomenal.
Yeah, the elevated picnic.
That's it. Yeah.
We held that for 3 or 4 years in a row. Very successful fundraiser for us.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work putting that together,
Yeah.
but we had a good group of volunteers that really pulled that off for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you've mentioned, volunteers are the oil that does all of this, the grease that brings it all together. But from a city's perspective, welcome to the Elevated Park, to the Railworks Coalition. We know when we need to reach out, we'll reach out to the Railway Coalition first, and then say, who do I speak to about? And you name your railway piece, and most of your volunteers volunteer on all of the aspects of Railworks, and so that helps it and helps us share volunteers across the city on all of the things that have to do with old railway heritage and new things like the elevated park. It's just an incredible place. You and I talked recently about my first trip out onto the elevated park, because I'm not a big heights guy. I really still have trouble with heights, and I thought I won't be able to go out there and not look like a fool. No, it's look, and I want to tell everybody, even if you have a trouble, looking down is not what you do. The vistas of when you're up on the elevated park are so beautiful looking out, certainly down the Kettle Creek Valley, especially in fall. Right. So I've learned, I'm over it. And then we even took some wedding pictures and stuff out there on the day of our wedding, because we couldn't think of a more beautiful place to do some of it. So thank you for what you've brought to this community as a coalition. And now let's move together forward on we think the selling of Elevated Park, the telling people more about it. I think we've also talked in the last little while about how something like Christmas Tree Spectacular has driven new people to the Railway Museum that have never been there either, right? They didn't come to see, they came to see Christmas trees and went, wow, look at this place. And I think we'll do exactly the same thing. And I know it already happens with the Elevated Park, where I went and saw an elevated park, and a really fun time broke out because I was there for something else. It just does work. So let's keep working together on making these things more visible across our region and across Ontario, across Canada, and around the world.
Yeah, and I got to say that we've had good support from Railway City Tourism for everything we've done at the elevated park, and I don't know the numbers for all of the attractions that we have in St. Thomas, but from what I've seen, in the summertime we get over 10,000 people a month at the elevated park. It's busy all the time, even in the winter. People just love walking out there, walking their dogs. And now we're developing the trail to the west of the bridge itself.
Yes.
And we're going to be planting native trees along the former rail line. And so the elevated park trail will go all the way out into Southold Township, out to Lyle Road. And we hope that people will be able to use that for biking and hiking and just kind of expand the reach of the elevated park.
And there's a whole new park that was donated by Ted and Dougie Gill as well. That's right across that. So if you just cross the road, then you have a whole park you can go into as well, which is just fantastic.
Conservation.
Well, we think the connecting of all of these great things really helps to us. And we, with just having met our city budget last night, we're talking a lot about how else do we connect all the rest of the trails we already have. Many of them do run into each other, but there are some. We're trying to now analyze where are the spaces, and how do we work with neighboring communities to also say, can we go further into your community? And obviously, if it's connected out into Southwold, then people from Southwold could certainly connect into St. Thomas using the whole trail system too. We think this is the active transportation network in spades when you start attaching it to the Trans-Canada Trail and the elevated park. People understand those things to a degree, but I say you can make it as spectacular as you have, then do it and ask us and we'll play too. We just love being the city where this stuff is happening.
Absolutely. There's a bit of a transfer now as well, because you're taking over some more roles. Is that right?
In regards to,
you're talking about Matt stepping back a little bit. You're taking over some more responsibilities.
Yeah,
yes.
The board of the elevated park will now be aligned with
Yes.
the board of Railworks. So it's the same people will sit on the board of the different organizations, and that way we can ensure that we're all kind of working together and not at cross purposes.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Is now we can have a true kind of common theme and common conversation amongst all kind of four entities overall, to make sure that that same message is spread out to the community, spread out to Ontario and Canada, and for marketing purposes. Hey, yeah, you're coming to see the elevated park. Guess what? We have these other sister organizations. Come and check out CASO. Come and check out the Railway Museum, BX Tower. So it really, I think, is an exciting time to have that common message and common theme out there, and get someone coming into town to really check out all of the properties and the heritage of Railway City.
Yeah,
and it's similar to what the CASO Station and the ECRM have done with events. So, for example, CASO Station has the Anderson Hall for events. Bigger events might be done here at the Railway Museum. We're looking at doing events on the elevated park on the bridge itself as well, too. So next summer there might be some kind of more public organized events out there.
Fantastic. That's really exciting.
Well, as Grayden and I, as you know, Grayden and I work together on the downtown development board also, and the downtown is where the center of most of this stuff is. And so please don't rule out the tourism organizations and the downtown development board and saying it's a quick walk from the CASO Station to the Elgin County Railway Museum. It's a fairly nice stroll up to the elevated park. The BX Tower is right there on the Moore Street parkland to the town square that we're trying to develop. And as we've talked a lot on here, we're about to move into the secondary plan for that very large block of area that includes where CASO is and the Railway Museum is and the BX Tower is, on saying, what can this large block be? What the secondary plan for can it be housing? Can it be parkland? Can it be all of the above? Can it be a great connector between other great tourism pieces too? So want to keep talking about it and keep moving it forward.
Absolutely. And like you're saying too, with the Downtown Development Board is in the process of redesigning its website. So one of the things that I did with that was reaching out to different community partners and asking, do you want to partner with us? Can we promote you? So I talked to Will, and Will was like, yeah, absolutely. So then with that, we're going to have links to the CASO Station and now the elevated park and the different parts of the Railworks Coalition, so we can all share the traffic that we get and promote everybody.
Exactly. And I think that's one, like, especially from my role on the board for Railworks and entities, that's really the cool and the exciting part about our community is working together, working with the DDB, working with EDC, working with railway tourism. Everybody works together for the greater good for the community, and kind of share those resources, share that traffic, as you said, on the websites, and really in the end, everyone benefits. So we just continue bringing it together and have that synergy approach across the board.
Well, I just love it, because then someone goes to Elevated Park, and then if you're promoting our restaurants, they can go to the restaurants downtown.
Exactly.
Everybody benefits. And if they go to the restaurant, then they can hear about the Elevated Park. Those people can say, hey, these guys are supporting us. Let's help support them. Go to the Elevated Park. Check that out. Maybe donate some money to that in the boxes that are there.
Yep.
Or the Railway Museum with the Christmas tree spectacular is happening right now.
Yep.
So all the events they do, it's just fantastic. It's so exciting.
It's very exciting. Honestly, our board is excited. Just to kind of, we've talked about it for a while, so we're all very excited. I know the volunteers and the staff behind the scenes are all really excited about it. They're already brainstorming ideas of how to kind of continue those events and expand those events over there. So really it's an exciting time.
All right, I'm just going to jump in and take a look if we have any questions coming in here on our chat lines. We have a shout out Merry Christmas from Sharon Montgomery Anderson. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Sharon. Fantastic viewer. And Margaret Knight, happy holidays, everyone. See you in 2025. Suggestion, announce DRE when you are online. DRE. Mayor, do you know what the DRE is?
I'm guessing that we're talking about, we we need to let people know more about when we're about to click on, I guess, so they can get their popcorn and their Coca-Cola ready and watch Mayor's update. I'm guessing that may be where we're at on that one. But you mentioned some of the sharing, and we had great conversations earlier this year while the Christmas tree spectacular is still going on, but the night of the Santa Claus parade, somebody said, "Why aren't you visiting the Christmas tree spectacular, parking your car at the Elgin County Railway Museum and walking over to Talbot Street when it's time for the parade? When you walk back, it'll work out just about perfect." We're starting to get into where we're sharing the goodness of a lot of this stuff, and let's not forget also our friends at the Port Stanley Terminal Rail who tend to play in a lot of this too, but we're always there when we ask them. And the same thing with Rail Works for them is it's a great conversational among all of us. So one of the other questions that's up there, I just already mentioned, the secondary plan process is now starting. There's a between the city planning department and a planner that one of the landowners has also brought on. We're starting to have conversations and bring together the rest of the landowners. It can't be done just as little pieces. It has to be done as that secondary plan for a very large square of land. And we even spoke about it last night again at council about how do we involve some of the landowners who are leaving their land a little vacant, and how do we get them involved with the great thinking that's coming forward through Rail Works and the rest of the team downtown about what could be. We can't say yes or no till we hear what could be, and we think that the more can happen, right?
And I think, sorry, Joe kind of touched on that. I think that's what, again, I use the word exciting again, but is what could be. Again, with the with everything in the Railway Museum, the Elevated Park, the Downtown Development Board, the land that Doug Terry has, what could be, what can be possible, the land surrounding this whole area on the secondary plan, and that is what is just really eye-opening and really neat to see this moving forward.
And if I can share, we will do a number of open public meetings about this as we move forward. So if you think you're a little left behind, you're not. We're just slow, and it's a big lumbering beast that we've got to deal with. But we're going to make sure everybody gets a chance to share their goods, their bads, their uglies, and how beautiful this could be for our community to have that area of railway heritage, that area of parkland, that area of housing. Let's talk about all the possible chances there are, but with all of the landowners that there are, the city will bring them together and make sure that we get everybody together we can.
At the same time, and in conjunction with all of that planning that the city's doing of the surrounding area here, the Elgin County Railway Museum has started to look at what can we really do with this building too,
right?
Because the building needs a lot of work. We all know that, but what we're starting to do now is develop a vision or a master plan for the building. So we know it's going to contain the Railway Museum, the rolling stock and the other artifacts that we have. But what else can we do? We can do events in here, and maybe we can do other things inside the building as well too. So we're starting to reach out to the city and other stakeholders in the community to get ideas about what really role should this building serve in the future of the city.
Yep. Well, that's really exciting because I know you were looking at different plans. You were putting some funding proposals together, and unfortunately, they didn't come through. But it was really unique to see the different ways you were going to look at using the space as well, which I thought was very exciting to get more of the community in here to see it. Because I can't tell you the number of people who have come to this space at a different event and said, "You know what? This is the first time I've been here," and they're the same age as me. They're over 40. I'm just like, how did you not know about this?
Honestly, I would say every time that we have an event or throughout the summer at the museum itself, every time you hear someone walk in every day,
Mhm.
wow, this is the first time I hear it. And the first thing they do is just go awe, and they look up at the entire building
Yeah.
and the structure and getting it out there. So it's a great time for our organizations as we kind of do this master planning, this visioning of, again, what could be possible, for the museum,
Mhm.
and what could be possible for the building. Obviously, the demographics in town are changing, and our population is continuing to grow, and
Mhm.
we need to evolve with that as well as an organization.
And we have so much local history that's connected to it. Like my
Absolutely.
great grandfather worked on the railway. You
Yeah.
know, that's how they supported the family farm.
How many people do you run into every day that say, Uncle Joe did this or Pete did, right? And exactly. And really by pooling together the Railworks Coalition and gathering volunteers. We had another great one just asked a question here in Paul Jenkins and bringing together along with the city, but the Chamber of Commerce and the work of all the businesses in our community to also look at places like the Elgin County Railway Museum in another light as an event space or another other uses for that building and other saving uses for that building. It's just great. Brett has asked us, what are the risks associated in speculating what could be with the matters surrounding the rail lands without following proper municipal planning practice and including proper public consultation processes. That's why we're doing it. Brett, you're absolutely incorrect. We will make sure that proper planning processes are followed and that before any decision made on the secondary plan is because we have brought together as many people as we can. Hey, there'll be some of us in each group that'll say, that isn't exactly what I thought we're going for, but collectively, we hope to come up with something that is just the best we could be, right?
Mhm.
So what else have we got? Doesn't
Well,
sound like a railway museum to me. I guess Tony needs to visit because there sure is a lot of old railway heritage in that museum.
And
But
I'd like
in order to fix the building, we need to also have other ways of paying for that and having events. I see it as that as the mayor. What's the railway thing?
Well, and I want to address that too because the board is very committed to maintaining a railway museum. But like you say, Joe, I mean, there has to be other ways of raising money as well too.
Right.
So certainly parts of the railway museum component will take up a big part of what we do with the future of this building. But we're looking at other uses for the building as well too. We don't know what they are right now. It's going to come out of public consultation. It's going to come out of more study. But in order to ensure the sustainability of the museum and the building, we just want to make sure that it's used as best it can and is sustainable into the future.
Yeah. And I think one thing too to reiterate, and I know I've mentioned it here before, we've mentioned at members meetings before. Yes, we're doing this kind of vision planning on the building, but at the same time, we are doing a vision planning on the museum as a whole. Obviously, again, as I brought up, the growing population, the changing demographics, more families. The museum as a whole does need to adapt to the new world a bit as well. And part of our visioning for that is to figure out, what does the museum look like? How do we adapt with that? Do we have interactive displays? Do we there's so many possibilities. We've partnered up with one of the leading kind of museum kind of designers in the country. And that is a huge aspect of our overall visioning too, is yes, we have the museum, but we also have a 53,000 square foot building, and there's some huge potential of what can happen there.
And I'll throw in the city side. We've got a expanse of railway land, and now Doug Terry is also working with that as one of the property owners. We'd love the other property owners playing the same game, except that land is contaminated. It couldn't be what anybody was saying it wanted to be without a whole coalition coming together to work on how will we clean up that land in order to use it from a prospective park point of view, or a prospective housing point of view, or a prospective any other thoughts that may come out of this. Part of the end result is the museum has to look at how will it pay to fix itself and become a more secure and vibrant building, but the whole secondary plan has to look at how will we make the land vibrant again. The mistakes of our fathers are still there. We still have to pay to clean up that land in some way. The city's stepping up to say, how can we do a secondary plan that helps us do that, right? But it sure is a lot better than walking away from it for a couple decades and doing nothing to it. So we're willing to play and want to help.
Very good. Now we should hop into some council stuff. We've got about 5 minutes left here. So
Sure.
You passed the budget. What were some key items that were passed there?
Well, the budget. I mean, last night was the one of the biggest things we do each year. Now, we talked about it last week, and we brought it pretty clean to where we needed to be. Last night, we sent it forward to come to council for final approval on January 13th, but we have approved a 3.91% tax levy increase this year. We think that's in keeping with the inflation that's happening, the growth that's happening in St. Thomas, some of the great big things we're doing and having to pay for, that we're covering our bills properly, but we're also making it so that those people who are having a bit of a rough time meeting today's inflation can stay in their home and meet that tax rate. We think we've hit a sweet spot. Many of the communities around us are going to come in higher than that. And we think that we're doing the right things so that we can keep the type of growth we're seeing in St. Thomas, both in population, in jobs, and in revenue, and in new roads and new parks and new trails all together. We think we've got a pretty good spot. I love this council. They sure can come together and work when we need to.
Absolutely. One final question in here from Brett is saying, how will the rail lands be remediated, and what are the costs and challenges of doing so?
Well, they're extremely expensive to take contaminated land. Railway lands have a certain amount of contaminants to them. Mostly, the best method is to scrape a good amount off and burn that soil. That's the best remediation piece we currently have on how to deal with contaminated lands. There are a couple of other things, but most of them aren't as palatable as that one for what you can do afterwards. Once you've done that one, you can pretty much do whatever you want on that land. But you could you could cap the land with quite a depth of new topsoil. But now we've created a landscape that isn't the same all around us. And so we're asking that question as we do the secondary plan also, that we will also have to plan this. This isn't we flick a switch and all of a sudden you can do whatever you want on land that you can't build on. So we have to come to that. Yes.
Yeah, but I like what all you were talking about as well in terms of like the sustainability and the financial viability. Because it's like you have to do something where it's going to be sustainable, like Matt's saying, where you have to have the ability to keep up the heritage that we have and do it in a manner that's financially viable so that we don't have to sell off stuff.
Exactly. And it's, again, I go back to, we want, in order to maintain the heritage that we have, we do have to adapt and evolve in a certain manner as well. And that is what we're looking at in order to protect that heritage, is the adaptation and evolution. Mm-hmm. for the community.
Well, hey, I'm not afraid of the future, and I know you guys aren't either. I'm not afraid of looking forward and saying, what risk can we take? What can it be? What are we talking about? What we can do? What I can't do is sit still and say, well, this is good enough, because it isn't. It's a piece of contaminated land in the downtown of our city, and we're trying to ask all of the property owners, and including the Railway Museum and the Queso Station and the others around it, to say, with your thoughts, what can the vision be? With what we know the cost to be to remediate, what can the vision be? Look, I've never been accused of standing still. I think we should look forward and do big things, and we will continue to do so as this city council, and hopefully moving forward with the railworks groups that we're working with.
Definitely.
Hey, watch out. We're rolling.
Any final thoughts, Matt?
No, fantastic. I think all of us working together, the Railway Heritage Groups, the city, the tourism department, and, if we're working together, then, we're going to bring other players in, like the province and the federal government as well, too. So, it's important that we all work together locally to do that.
Yep, exactly. The synergy to see everyone working together, including the chamber involved in the local businesses, downtown development board, the city, surrounding communities, is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to do one last plug. This is the last weekend for the Christmas tree spectacular over here at the Railway Museum. Friday night, 5 to 9. Saturday, I want to say 12 to 9. Sunday, 12 to 5, and we are doing Monday as well on the 23rd. All the kids are going to be off school, so I believe we're doing 2 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Monday as well. So honestly, it's fantastic. It's an amazing sight to see.
If you haven't been, get out there.
Yeah.
And grab 3 friends and take them to see it, because they'll be just amazed at what they will see in the Christmas tree spectacular. I continue to say it every week, right? And we're at the last weekend now, so let's make sure that you don't miss it for this year and you get out and see it.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. Mayor, Scott, Matt, thanks for joining us.
Great,
thanks
you.
to all our
Merry
viewers.
Christmas, everyone.
Thanks for coming, guests.
Enjoy, Joe. Take care, everybody.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, Grayden, let's make sure we tell people we're not on next week or the week after we think.
Yeah,
right?
we're probably
it's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and we don't think we're doing a show on either of those nights. But maybe Grayden and I will have a couple of drinks and maybe get out there and do it. So
yeah, so it's kind of like by chance, you know.
Hey, watch for us. We could be doing Mayor's Update.
Keep an eye on the Established Media Facebook page. You never know what's going to happen,
and it might go live, and then it might disappear forever. So
we don't know. Right.
We've seen New Year's shows like that before. Maybe we'll enter that same, legendary realm. Anyway, night, everybody. Take care.
Thanks.
Okay, everybody.